Ashish Kashyap, CEO of Ibibo, who's joining in on the phone line to chat with us. Ashish, good evening and congratulations on sealing what's being touted as the biggest deal in the travel space. You must be rather happy. We're pretty curious, though, to know what's really prompted you to strike this deal, given, my colleague Chandra and I were discussing how, at one point, you folks were arch rivals.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and thanks for congratulating me. It is a momentous moment, actually, not just for the travel space or the online travel space, but I think the internet industry in itself. So, to your question, what really excited us is really driven by the fact that if you really look at the online travel market, but for domestic airline, which a good percentage of it has moved online, accommodation industry, bus industry, alternate accommodation, even outbound flights, outbound hotels are all suboptimally penetrated online. So if you really look at the big task at hand that we have now over the next 5 to 10 years is to move the offline to online. And we believe that the complementary strengths which are there amongst the different brands, given that these consumer-facing brands are going to continue to operate, we strongly felt that this combination will drive the less than 15% accommodation penetration online and accelerate that penetration, the 18% penetration of intercity bus transport, the very, very suboptimal penetration of even outbound flights and outbound hotels absolutely being untapped. Beyond this, we see huge opportunities in alternate accommodation space, which we want to develop via Makemytrip's Right Stay brand, and also the alternate transportation, intercity transportation via the Right brand, which we recently incubated. So we just feel that while it seems on the face of it that, this is a very stable industry, but from my vantage point, it is just beginning. And given that this is just beginning and there's such a large headroom for growth and there's so much of work to be done, I think this is an excellent time, for us to partner and build this out. And given that there was good synergy between the founding team members, we said that this is a great opportunity for us to take this path. So that's what has really motivated and driven.
Right. Ashish, hi. Chandra here from ET Now in Bangalore. Just want to understand, in the investor call, you all mentioned that these will continue as separate entities, Makemytrip, Ibibo, as well as Red Bus. Can you help us understand how you will leverage synergies going forward? Because, for the last year at least, we've seen Makemytrip and Ibibo literally undercutting each other as far as the online hotel booking space is concerned. Clearly, that's the big battleground. So can you tell us how you plan to leverage synergies under 3 separate brands?
Sure. So firstly, if you look at Red Bus as a brand, this is an intercity bus brand. When somebody's keyword is that he wants to travel from Dharwad to Belgaum, that's by bus. So it's the Red Bus brand, which comes to mind. Or when somebody thinks of traveling to Shirdi or to Jammu, to a pilgrimage location by road, it's the Red Bus brand. So first and foremost, we would definitely leverage the Red Bus brand to increase reach for our core accommodation business. So that's number one. Number two, Ibibo brand has built strength amongst 2 and 3-star and budget accommodations, and also has built a lot of strength around its community and user-generated content and question and answers product. On the other hand, Makemytrip has built a lot of strength around its core flights, packages business, build strength around outbound 4 and 5 stars. So we will leverage these strengths and combine wherever we can give better value proposition to the consumers. The coexistence of multi-brands is not a new phenomenon, because if I go and look at China, there is coexistence of Ctrip and Qunar. If I look at the Asian markets, there is coexistence of Booking and Agoda. If I look at, many other markets, there's coexistence of multiple hotels and flight brands under the Expedia stable. Example, Expedia.com and Hotels.com. So in the internet world, we believe that, having multiple consumer franchises creates values, and at the end of the day, hence increases and strengthens the back-end network effects.
Right. Ashish, just want to understand, earlier this year, both Makemytrip and yourself raised a round of funding. They raised it from China, C-Trip. You raised another round of funding from Naspers. So, per se, there wasn't any compelling reason for you to enter a merger at this stage. It's not like you were starved of funds. So, how difficult was this decision for you as founder and CEO of Ibibo, someone who's really built this brand, from the ground up?
It was very clear. Can we accelerate innovation? Given that we will constantly optimize certain aspects and constantly focus on innovation. So the first thing for me was that can we accelerate innovation and tech development by doing this? Because as I said, we're just scratching the surface literally with respect to this category of e-commerce. So that was the first. Second, what is the chemistry like with the founders and other folks? And is there a meeting of minds in terms of a longer term vision, which is can we organize the transportation and accommodation industry? Can we solve problems for transportation providers? Can we solve problems for accommodation providers? Can we look at this from a prism of solving problems rather than from a prism of a travel agent, right? So there was a lot of meeting of minds on that, and last but not the least, I think right now the big competition for us is that how do we really bring, and this holds good not just for me, but that holds good for actually the whole internet industry. How do you bring offline to online? I think that's the big one, and that kind of effort can only be done if you create trends such as this and create strong platforms.
Right. Ashish, we have time for one last question. So what happens next? How soon before we actually see this deal sort of wrap up? We know for sure that, you folks will now wait for the nod from the Competition Commission. How hopeful are you on that front? And I'm also going to quickly slip in a note I just read that Morgan Stanley put out. They say a combined entity is something like $1.8 billion. Would that be a fair, assessment?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think all of this has just happened, so I haven't even looked at any numbers so far, and some of it is dynamic. So let me not comment on numbers. Let's talk about the momentous timing of this and the occasion. So coming to, your question on essentially, I think this is essentially a huge opportunity, and from a regulation perspective, my belief is that it's basically a lot of market. 85% of it is still offline, and that's what we want to bring online. So we expect the deal to be completed by December end of this year.
All right, Ashish, we'll leave it at that and let you revel in your moment. Thank you so much for taking time out for us. Ashish Kashyap, there, CEO of Ibibo. But this story is incomplete before we also hear out what Makemytrip's Deep Kalra had to say on this mega deal in the online travel space. Mind you, it's being touted as the biggest that the Indian travel industry has seen. Hear out, Mr. Kalra.
In terms of the filing to the Competition Commission, there is statutorily a time period of 30 days which is available to undertake that filing. We should kind of be doing that well within that time and sooner than later. We do expect that it takes about a month plus to get the go ahead from Competition Commission, and this could kind of be longer depending upon what kind of if they have any more queries on the application, and therefore we've kind of overall budgeted the closing to go through by end of December.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.